Right, so last night I was watching this video by Trinket Mage where he talks about people using powerful cards in decks where it's not warranted. And as he says, he wasn't talking about things like Ristic Study or Blasphemous Act, because you want to draw cards. So putting a Ristic Study in your deck is not just jamming a powerful card to jam a powerful card that you have. But he specifically mentioned Cabal Coffers. And his thesis was, he was looking at decks, he was reviewing lists, and he thinks a lot of people are using Cabal Coffers and they don't need it. And one of his examples was an X spell. So Torrent of Hellfire. 2 black to get started, and then X. And for each X, your opponents either sacrifice permanent or lose 3 life. So if you do X for 10, everybody loses some combination of 10 instances of 3 life, or they sacrifice 10 permanents. And usually that wins the game. And then he says, well, what if it gets countered? What do you do then? What is your coffers for? And I started thinking about it. I thought, okay, he's got some good points. But looking at my decks, okay, for example, this is Ikra, Shidiqi, Sidar, Kondo. This is a black-green-white deck. I don't have any X spells. I've got some higher casting cost creatures. So what do I run coffers? Well, I run coffers because I run Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth. So he was looking at coffers as the primary. In my case, I look at Urborg as the primary. So Urborg fixes my mana. It's a swamp. It turns this into a scrubland, turns this into a bayou, and gives me more options when it comes to the few black cards. I don't really have a lot of black cards in the deck. Murderous Rider, Deathrite Shaman, but I can cast him with green. What else do I have? Not much. Ikra Shidiqi herself, but she only requires 1 black. This only requires 1 black. But the thing is, because I'm running Urborg as a way of smoothing my mana, as a way of providing more black, more options, why wouldn't I run coffers? I mean, it's a land. It's a kind of a free inclusion. So in this deck, I just have it because I have Urborg. If I didn't have Urborg, I wouldn't run coffers. It wouldn't trigger at all. It wouldn't be useful. So that's kind of my thought process on that. But in some of my decks, for example, Karavek, let's take a look at him. Let me just pull him out. Karavek, here you go. So this is Karavek the Merciless. He's a 7 mana cost 5/4. 7. Whenever an opponent plays a spell, he deals damage to a creature player equal to that spell's CMC. So this deck is designed, it wants to get Karavek out and keep him out, so it gives my opponent something to consider every time they cast a spell, so I can hurt something. I built this deck because I know Karavek's going to die. He's going to die a lot. So I'll have to cast him from the command zone or get him back to my hand somehow. But the second time I cast him, he's 9, and third time 11. So for him, that's the reason he has Cabal Coffers, is because I know he's going to die, and I know I'm going to start needing a lot of mana to get him back. That's the other reason why he has all these mana rocks. Grim Monolith. Let's see, where's some other good rocks? He's got Command Beacon, so I can put him back in my hand from the command zone. Ancient Tomb for that extra colorless when I need it. So that's my thoughts on Cabal Coffers as a powerful card. What else does it? I mean, there's really no big thing in here that justifies me having Coffers, except the fact that I will need to recast him. I mean, Blood on the Snow, a couple mana rocks and a couple swamps, I could cast that. Kokusho, same thing. Mask of Gurs, it only costs 3 to cast, 3 to equip. So I don't need Coffers for the deck. I need Coffers in Urborg for the commander. There's mana shots. So this is Mana Vault. But while we're on it, let me go ahead and make this change to... Do I have that card handy? I don't have it. Yeah, I do. Good. So, I'm going to be shuffling around some decks over the next couple of days. Let's get Karavik out, because now I'm messing with Ikra, Shidiqi, Sidar, Kondo. Let's put them in alphabetical order there. There we go. Beauty. Putting cards in to decks. For example, Ikra, Shidiqi, Sidar, they have Drenith Magistrate. Excuse me. They don't really need Drenith Magistrate. He is a powerful card, and his ability doesn't really fit the theme of the deck. It's nice. I mean, screwing people over by saying, you can't play your commanders, sorry, haha, on turn 2. That warps the game in your favor. Also, his toughness is higher than his power, so that fits into the theme, where for this deck, every creature except 2, Soul Sisters and Soul Warden, have higher toughness than power. Daxos does for a couple of turns. Daxos comes into play and he's a 2/2. But as soon as I play something else white, he goes up. I wonder if I could find Daxos. And the reason I have the deck like that is because of effects like this. Each creature control assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. So he's a 2-mana 3/3 that screws with people. And then I also have Duran. All creatures, not just mine, all creatures deal damage according to toughness rather than the power, which makes my opponents have to change their combat strategy sometimes. If they have creatures with higher power than toughness, then their creatures get weaker. So here's Soul's Attendant. I wonder where Daxos is. Anyway, I'm going to take this out. And you might ask, why would you do that? You just said how powerful the card is. Well, it doesn't exactly fit the theme of the deck, and I've got a deck that needs it more. So Nalia, she only has 5 native wizards. 5 creatures with the creature type wizard. She has Burricos Party Leader, which is he's everything. He's wizard, warrior, cleric, and rogue. And this has 2 changelings. But because it only has 5 wizards, it's hard to get the wizard out. So if I count Burricos, if I count the 2 changelings, then I have 8 wizards. But then if I count them for the other creature types, that means I have something like 17 clerics. I have something like 11 warriors, but one of the warriors is that accursed guy. I forget his name. He costs 2. 1 at a black. You put him into play, and everybody has sacrificed a non-token creature. So usually 9 times out of 10, he's the one I sacrifice. So he doesn't. I don't quite count him because he's not going to stick around very long. So I want to put 2 more wizards into Nalia. And I looked at all the wizards, and Drenith Magistrate and this new dwarf. Let me get the new dwarf. Are the best that I could find. A lot of the wizards in black and white are just kind of, who cares? Where is my new... I thought I put him in this box. Where's that new wizard that I just got recently? need to organize this shit better. What the fuck is it? Deep Gnome Terramancer. So that's a wizard that's going to go into Nalia. I'm really curious to see how often he's going to trigger. So what he does is, again, he costs... The other reason for Trinket Mage going into Nalia is that it's low casting cost. Nalia, the highest casting cost for creatures I have is 5. And most of the creatures run 2 to 3. So here again, I had 2 and 2. So this guy, 2 for 2/2 flashy, no wizard. Whenever one or more lands come into play on an opponent's control without being played, so as long as they don't play the land, if they trigger a fetch land, if they activate Burnished Heart, anything like that, I can go find a plains, put on the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle once per turn. I don't expect it to happen that often in the first place, so the once per turn isn't that much of a restriction. But if it gets me an extra 3 or 4 lands over the course of the game, that's worth it. I mean, 2 mana to get an extra 2 or 3 lands over the course of the game, that's good value. That's not bad. And so since all the creatures are small, until Nalia starts attacking and they start getting plus and plus on counters, if I have a full party, which is why I'm putting these wizards in, to increase the chances I will get a full party, to up the wizard count. He should slow things down. So anyway, Trinket Mage is coming out of Ikra, Shidiqi, Sidar, Kondo, and I'm going to put in this God Eternal Ikra. The reason I got her is I was watching this other video. I think it was by Commander's Quarters. And they were talking about cards that you should pick up because they're cheap. So there's a few of the cards that I thought, yeah, okay. But then they got to God Eternal Ikra. This is War of the Spark. So I didn't play much during War. I played Commander. I didn't play Standard. I didn't play much Modern. So I wasn't really involved in War of the Spark. I kind of know the storyline, don't really know the cards. So I didn't know about her. Well, I'd heard the name, but I didn't know what the card did. I just didn't have time to investigate and care. But they mentioned her price had fallen, so I thought, okay, what does she do? Okay, 3 white, 3/6 double strike. Okay, that's not bad. Whenever you cast a creature spell, create a 4/4 black zombie warrior creature token of vigilance. Ooh, that's pretty good. That's really good. And when she dies or goes into exile, I put her in my library, 3rd from the top, so she will come back. So how does she fit Ikra, Shidiqi, Sidar, Kondo? Well, her toughness is far higher than her power. Double strike. So if you get one of these effects that damage is done according to toughness rather than power, she will be a 6/6 double striker for 5. Right there, that's not bad. For these days, it's not great. 10 years ago, that would have been fantastic. People were like, wow, a 6/6 double striker 5, fuck yeah. And I get more creatures. Now, their power toughness is even, so if I cast my board wipe, if all the creatures punch themselves in the face, all those zombies are going to die, but there's just zombie tokens anyway, so fuck them. Who cares? Stupid zombies. If they wanted to live, they should have been tougher. Let me show you my board wipe in this deck. It's kind of funny. Wave of Reckoning. Where's my Wave of Reckoning? I also have Crackdown. Now my creature's power 3 or greater don't tap during their controller's in tap step. I do have some creatures in this deck, like Ikra, Shidiqi, that will get locked down by this. They will get cracked down. But most of my creatures will not. I mean, he's a 0/6, but he's a 6/6 for 5, essentially. Each creature you control with toughness greater than its power signs, combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. Bang. Looty booty. Where is that Wave of Reckoning? There it is, Wave of Reckoning. 4 and a white. every creature punches itself in the face. So all my opponent's creatures with power equal to toughness, power greater than toughness, or death touch, die. All my creatures that do not have such restrictions don't die. Like, for example, this guy over in Frost, he only attacking creatures have death touch. So once they stop attacking, they stop having death touch. So if I deal damage to a player and draw a card, if I get Wave of Reckoning, I can cast it with no reservations whatsoever. Because the attack is over, my creatures don't have death touch. Anyway, that's one change I'm going to make. I'll make a separate video for Nalia where I explain what I'm taking out and why. But yeah, these are definitely going in. And Nalia, as with Ikra, Shidiqi, Sidar, Kondo, she has a Cabal Coffers for the same reason they do, because she has Herborg. So I think, as with this deck, I've got Urborg already in the deck to smooth my mana, to make all my plains into scrublands, to make all my bullshit utility lands into swamps if I need them more than I need the utility they provide otherwise. So if I've got Urborg, why the fuck wouldn't I run Coffers?